Hi Year 7, first of all welcome back to school. You're back, I'm not, I'm still having to shield unfortunately, so I'm still working from home, which is why you have got these cover lessons. But I'm going to do what I did in November, and I'll do some YouTube clips which you can watch in school and also watch at home if you want to. And you should have in front of you a sheet which looks something like this, and on the back of it you will have a bug hotel and a hedgehog house. Now, the whole point of these sessions going up to the Easter holidays is to render, to shade these to make them look even more realistic than these drawings that I have given you. And if you remember, we did this way back in November when I set you some worksheets when you were working with Mr. Watts. So you should have the basic skills to be able to do this. Now let's just do this bird box as an example. Now, if I imagine that the light is coming from this direction, we're going to start shading this bird box here to make it look more realistic. So anything over here, and you can see in this drawing that I've downloaded, somebody has already started to do some shading. So this part of the bird box is going to be fairly dark. I'm actually going to do this in a yellow colour. Excuse me wobbling. Okay, so I'm actually going to shade over that in yellow. But I might want to make parts of this a little bit darker. So what I will do is I'm going to take a red, because red and yellow, if you mix those together, they kind of make an orange colour. So I'm going to just work in a bit of red into that. Just to make that a little bit darker still. Okay, because that bit is going to be in shadow, isn't it? So that's one side of the bird box. Now, I don't particularly like the way that this person who did this piece of clip art has done the wood grain, so I'm going to improve that a little bit because it just looks like a bunch of squiggles. Now, if this was a real piece of wood, there would be more wood grain in that, so I can actually follow the shapes that this person has done. I might even put a knot in there. You sometimes get knots in pieces of wood. So basically I'm just adding a few more lines in this to make it look even more realistic. Hopefully, that's the aim anyway. I'm going to put another knot in there. And a knot in a piece of wood is where on the tree there would be a branch coming out of the wood. So I think that side of the bird box is starting to look a little bit more realistic. I'm even going to go back into there with my ordinary pencil, which is what I'm using here, just to add a bit more shadow underneath the lip of this bird box. Starting to look a little bit more realistic, I hope you'll agree. Okay, so you can carry on working on the rest of this bird box. Now, if the light's coming from this direction, don't forget this is going to be fairly dark over this side. This front of the box is going to be a fairly light colour, so I will do that one actually. I'm just going to do that in a light yellow pencil. Okay, this is going to be in very strong shadow, which the person who did this piece of clip art has already done. I'm going to actually make it almost completely black. So what about this front of the bird box here? Well, I think the very first thing to do would be to, because we're working in yellows, tones of yellow, I'm just going to go over that in a pale yellow first of all. But then I'm going to kind of do the same thing that we did over here. I think this person was a little bit rushed with their wood grain design, so I'm just going to add some more wood grain in here to make this look a bit more realistic. That word keeps cropping up because that's the whole point of this work. We're trying to make this look not like a piece of clip art, but we're trying to make it look as though it's the real thing. There we go, that looks a little bit better. I think I want to put in a bit of red again, just underneath the top edge where there would be shadow. Go in with a slightly darker yellow colour pencil. Now I'm just going around some of the grain, so some of these areas of wood grain, I'm just going to sort of go around the shapes a little bit more. So kind of colouring in between the wood grain, but I'm doing it really roughly, I'm not doing it really neatly. Okay. Now most of you might be thinking, well, wood's brown, Mr. Freeman, and it is. But actually, if you look at a piece of wood, oh, bless me. If you look at a piece of wood, there are more colours than brown in it, but we can work in a bit of brown into this as well. If you think that's looking a bit too yellow, and I tend to think that is looking a bit too yellow, let's just work in a bit of brown as well. And this is the whole point of presentation drawings, isn't it? You don't just stick with one colour, because that's what you do in primary school. That's what you do when you're about 4 or 5 years old, but you are not 4 or 5 years old. You are trying to create drawings which are as realistic as possible. And you can use more than one colour in any drawing to enhance your image of wildlife habitat boxes. And I could carry on working on that. I'd probably go into this area again with a bit more brown and start putting some more colour in there. Okay, so I haven't done that bit, but you could carry on with that on your own. So hopefully, when you look at that, that looks a little bit more realistic. Yeah, I think that does, especially when you come look at it from a slight distance away. Now that's a bird box, of course. We've also got bat box here. We've got a bug hotel over here. This, by the way, hasn't got the top finished off, so if you are doing a bug hotel, it would be a good idea to get a ruler and just finish off the top of this bug hotel. Okay, but once again, the person that did this piece of clip art, they've kind of rushed the wood grain effect, so I would do what I did on the bird box and try and make that look a little bit less like a childish piece of clip art and make it look more realistic. Now, hedgehog homes. Quite a lot of you have said that you can't find outline drawings of hedgehog homes, and I couldn't either. But what you can do is, if you get a plain piece of paper from your teacher, whoever your teacher is, you should be able to put it over the hedgehog home, and especially if you put it up against a window, you'll be able to trace off the design of that picture that I've got of a hedgehog home, and you could start rendering that, because obviously this is a photograph, so this is quite good, isn't it? Because you could use this to help you copy the examples of wood grain and so on. But yeah, I would recommend that you really probably hold that up against one of the windows on the outside of the room, or on against the glass, against the corridors, so that you get a bit more light coming from behind the photograph, and then you'll be able to trace it off fairly realistically. So that is your task. You are choosing your wildlife habitat and you are shading it to make it look more realistic. If you get one done, okay, so I've only done the bird box so far, go on to another one. All right. Oh, and these drawings, by the way, the drawings of the little bugs, butterflies, robins, I've just put on just to enhance the look of the worksheets, make it look a bit more interesting for you. But if you want to colour those in, you can colour those in as well. Okay, so that's what you need to crack on with, please. Okay, and I should be available online if you've got any questions. But hopefully that video will have helped you. Okay, good luck, Year 7. Give it a go.